Yo, what is going on? DJ Crowley here once again and Simmer Down live from home. Happy 2022 to everyone out there. Hey, we got Mike Pinto, our buddy Mike Pinto in the house. What's going on, Mike?
What's up? Thanks for having me, and good to see you again, Alex.
Yeah, man, it's really great to see you, man. So you are a storyteller, man. Every You really are, man. I love the lyrics. Everything about you is telling a story. Tell everybody a quick story about the Mike Pinto.
Oh, about the Mike Pinto. Okay.
The Mike Pinto.
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about storyteller. It's like, man, I put it on the sticker, and you're like your own self-fulfilling prophecy here, that everybody's going to call you storyteller after you put it. But the funny thing about that, I had a little flashback, is the first time I got called that, I was in Guam, and they put it on the poster under my name, and I thought that was such a great idea, and this promoter, it was a father and son, and they kind of teamed up with some other people on Guam. Shout out to Guam, by the way. It's a lot of good people and fans out there. And that from then on, I'm like, man, that's a really good idea to kind of brand myself as something. And then I kind of used that font and graphic, and it's just stuck since then. And then people come up to you saying you're a storyteller, and you're like, holy shit. It's almost like their marketing worked somehow. Somehow. I've been called a lot worse than storyteller, so I'll take that as a huge compliment. But yeah, I just really like different forms of media and stories and film, and I think it ended up like I should have been a screenwriter, but I was too lazy to write a whole screenplay. And so the 3 or 4 minute song just worked out a lot better for me, a lot quicker, a little easier. But I grew up, and my story starts in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where I grew up. I was there till I was about 23, 24. I went to school at the University of Delaware, actually, and really was playing music with my friends, going back to Philly and playing in spots in Manayunk, like Grape Street Pub, which is still around and was kind of a mainstay for songwriters there. And I was in love, absolutely in love with the band Sublime, the shirt you're wearing right now. I was the guy who was, friends would come in my car and be like, you're listening to this again? I'm like, yeah, this is the shit. And Bradley had already passed by then. That was, by the time I got my license, which was unfortunate. I never got to see them play or anything, but long lasting effect on a lot of bands, and me included. And the fact that he liked to blend genres was really appealing to me. However, I was in Philly, I graduated from school, got a lot of encouragement from people who I went to school with, took a trip to Australia for school, and had a whole group of students really cheering me on, like, you better do this. And so after I just, started booking my own tours, ended out in San Diego playing a show, had a couple who said, hey, if you ever, this is a spot for you. If you ever want to live here, you could stay in an extra room till you figure it out. And I was like, wow. Went heading back, finished my tour, went all the way to Texas. I was supposed to have a couple festivals in Florida, and they got canceled for whatever reason, probably because they weren't professional festivals at that time. At that time, it was just some Bush League shit that I found on MySpace or something. And it fell apart, and I'm sitting there like at the Gulf of Mexico with my one buddy, Dan Sweeney, who was on that trip in Australia. He's like, bro, fuck going back to Philly. It's like, you should go back to California, because he knew the story. I remember calling on my family, and I'm sitting on the Gulf of Mexico, and we're just like, I'm going to go back, and I have a place to stay. I'm going to give it a shot. My folks were like, go for it. I was like 24 at that time. And then I went back and had such a great experience for about 10, 11 years over there in San Diego. What a great city for this genre of music, and just the people in that town embraced me. And I really, really enjoyed it. I wish I could still be there, but got a little pricey over there. I wanted to raise a family, and decided to come back to the East Coast to be with my family. So that's my, I guess, story as far as my travels have gone. You know, toured a bunch before this genre was what it is now. I mean, only like, I guess, Pepper and Stupid were doing really well when we first were going, but now this, you know, scene has done so well for itself and over a lot of people's hard work, you know.
It's exploded. You know, since I started doing this, when I started doing the radio about 10 years ago, and then moving into, you know, management, tour management, the whole scene, watching it just blossom has been so crazy. I was talking to Paul from Stupid about that on an interview the other day, and he was saying the same thing. It's like, it's crazy what's happened to this, man. Hey, if you guys are just tuning in, you're late. It's all right. We got our buddy Mike Pinto in the house, man. And he just told us a little story. He is a storyteller, man. And, you know, there's so many things I want to talk about here, but I really want to talk about I call it the jamdemic, you know, because we couldn't get out and play music, better known as the COVID-19 pandemic. We were just kind of talking about this, how, you know, it was kind of a breath of fresh air for you. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, I'd moved here back to New Jersey, of all places. I wanted to be, my wife's from New Jersey, and I guess I figured in my head it'd be better to live in New Jersey because of the style of music. At least we're on the coast, you could play. So that's why we moved there, moved to this spot and affordable, and so we bought a house that we knew was going to be a fixer upper kind of on a whim. And I mean, I remember the first week we got the house, I had a tour, and it was like I was ripping up carpets, you know, and having to leave. And it was like every single week from then on was really like, you know, nonstop, and talking about the next tour and talking about, you know, something music involved, or with me, my personal life was my house, and it just wouldn't end. And that was 2018. So I think, you know, we had a bunch of plans for 2019. We had done the One Love Fest, which is now called Cali Vibes. And we're coming back and we're planning out our summer and everything. And COVID hit. And, you know, everything, my life was still in boxes, like, you know, 2 years later. And, you know, I never had a studio before, really planted roots. I was always kind of wanted to be a vagabond type of thing. You know, I wanted to be that artist. And I do believe that moving around and being in different places is good for your creative flow. You realize what's similar and different in different regions of the world or country. But it was really good for me to stop because, one, I needed to get my life in order. And it just doesn't happen a lot of times when you're in this business. It's, you know, you're kind of flying on the seat of your pants. And even now we're back at it. The second year back from a tour, you're talking about the next series of dates. And so I think that for me, my personal life needed it. And, you know, it's good to have a personal life too. You know, a lot of musicians and things like that, they want to be full. They want to, you know, subscribe to the, you know, bust your ass and get in the van and all that stuff. But then you're like Skinner, and you're only writing songs about the road, you know, because that's all you do. All you do is travel on the road, and you're talking about gas stations and shit after a while. And it's like, your listeners are kind of like, well, I don't, you know, it's romantic sounding, but what the hell does that have to do with my life? You know?
Exactly. Yeah, that's an interesting point there, because you are what you write. You know, like you're on the road all the time. You're going to be writing about your favorites. You know, is it Loves? Is it Pilot? Is it, you know, what's your favorite truck stop?
Right. I know.
So, man, it is really, you know, for everybody out there, you know, if you're feeling the same thing, you know, put it out there too. You know, this thing, even though it was a horrible thing and there were so many awful things that happened, it was actually a breath of fresh air for a lot of people as well. So there's always some positive to find in even the most heavy of negatives. And I see that a lot in your music, man. You know, it's, you know, you look at the first song I ever heard, Full Speed Ahead, you know, like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it's such a powerful thing to be able to find positivity out of the darkest of negative, you know?
Yeah, I guess, I was really trying to find that silver lining with, my life as moving to the West Coast. That was all then, and trying to figure out what it is I am supposed to be doing with my life here. So, you know, hope is when you're young, what you hang on to. You're hoping for the future to be brighter and trying to do your part and all that other cliche stuff and idealistic things. So, when I was going to the West Coast, that was something I really dreamt of doing, wanted to do. And so that was a full speed ahead till I crash and burn and just do it. And in life, you do crash and burn and you have to kind of resurrect yourself over and over again, especially artistically, in my opinion. But you have to, and failure is the great teacher, you know what I mean? And, when you go into a business like this, no one really knows what to do for a long time. So,
Correct.
whether it be a tour manager, I know what's funny is I love it with even my friend who's tour managing, is most of the guys don't know what the hell they're doing at the very beginning, and they just get guided along or mentored by another person in the business, and the chain continues its to be linked that way, which is really cool. It's always a lot of trial by fire in this business, which is great, which is life.
Yeah, it's experience. It's
Mhm.
experience. It's all networking. This whole business is about finding a family and then going with that.
Yeah,
It really is. And especially the reggae family. The reggae community is one of the biggest families out there. We take care of each other. Even if you're not 100% reggae, we're still taking care of you if you have that energy that we possess, that we roll by.
Yeah,
So,
the fans really have been amazing. I said before, like when reggae wasn't doing well, I've stayed on a lot of couches, and I said I was like waiting for balloons to drop one time and say like your 1,000th couch. Like I hit a milestone somehow. Luckily it's gotten better in recent years, but man, there are people that will be like, you stayed on my house on my couch in 2007. You're just like, holy shit, I don't even remember that, but thank you so much. You try, it gets to be, a bit overwhelming after you start talking about 10 years,
Absolutely. And, it couldn't happen without everything happening the way it does. It's all part of the plan. So, hey, if you guys are just tuning in, you're late. So it's all right. We got Mike Pinto, our buddy Mike Pinto here in the house. Man, we're talking about all kinds of good stuff, including, the light that you can see in life in general, not just through the jamdemic, but through everything. And you've been through a lot, man. Full speed ahead. What is coming up? I know you got a tour. You had a new single. You got your supporting Pacifier, Chopadelic. You have one with Fayuka. You even got a little jam down there in Guanabana, is one of my favorite with Rick Hayes and Harry Dredd. Tell us about what's coming up, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just I'm really happy. I'm kind of connecting with bands again in this genre, and just left to center type of thing, which I'm really happy. For a while, I was just kind of floating on my own for some reason. A lot of people just told me, well, you're not reggae, on the professional side, and then so let's get you out and try to do something else. But I never connected with anything else. I'm open to a lot of ideas. I'm interested in trying to do something fresh with the live show and with writing, and anything new is, I try to embrace, because, it could give you some new feelings about, music, and going and being on tour with a band like Trop and Pacifier. I know I'm going to learn something about their live show, about them personally, and their instruments. I really love, this guy Goose, incredible musician. I'm just starting to pick up the keys. So I'm gonna be probably annoying him, picking his brain a little
Yeah.
bit, stuff like that.
He's got the keytar too. I think he's got the
Oh, yeah.
melodica, the keytar. Man, he's a master wizard.
Yeah, most of those guys in Pacifier can play multiple instruments.
Yep.
So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Trops live show is really full of energy, and I'm doing a lot of it. I'm doing that acoustic, and then doing a lot of Florida acoustic actually too. Then I'll be doing some bands. I guess I can announce it. It's gonna happen on Tuesday anyway. I'm doing like 4 shows with Joey Harcum, who's singer songwriter.
Nice.
We're doing Philly, Jersey, Baltimore, where he's from, and Virginia. And so that's the kind of the interesting and exciting part of this year is, he's a singer songwriter straight up, and I don't think of myself as reggae. When I think of reggae, I think of Gregory Isaacs, and I think of Jamaica. And I love that stuff. I try to stay true to who I am, being a guy from Philly area. Try not to throw around the word "ja" too much, or at all, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to be involved in all this stuff, and I'm going to be I've been working on obviously a record for a while, but I've been all over the place with it. Learning the piano has kind of opened up new styles to me. Not sure what exactly it means. I also got to work and been working with Pete Steinkoff, the lead guitarist of a band called the Bouncing Souls. We did 6 songs. 7th song we'll be working on with Kyle Ahern of Revolution, the lead guitarist. He lives in New Jersey. So I'm like teetering in between this genre and other stuff, and I love it all, and I don't want to deprive myself of something that I like just because I wrote a bunch of songs in the past. I'm trying to keep it as fresh as I can. So I think it's time for me to put out a record already, because I'm back. It's tough. It's tough to leave that the genre a little bit, because it is so strong, that community. You do want to. I'm someone who likes to keep fans happy. I'm not totally selfish in the fact that I want to just do whatever I want, and the hell with the fans. I want it to fit in the set that I have now. But with the pandemic, and I guess moving to a new place, it's just, the vibes in San Diego versus the vibes in New Jersey are just different. You know what I mean? And I got to be truthful about that. So whatever comes out, I guess at this point comes out. But I have a couple features that I'm working on. I think people will be excited about in the reggae community, and I'll do my own thing. And with the pandemic, the one thing, creatively, it's very easy to try to force to do what you want, but you're certain with the weight of what the pandemic was. Excuse me, a little fuzzy. What the weight of the pandemic was on people's, everyday lives, things just weren't coming out reggae for me, wasn't coming out positive. So I thought it'd be inauthentic to fake like, vibes are high right now when they weren't, when the world's at a standstill. So, I'm just trying to be truthful in what I felt and saw and was a part of, as the whole world was this crazy event in our life.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You got some plugs here. You got Mike Pinto's Little District. That's the Facebook group page, MikePintoMusic.com, at Mike Pinto Music, I believe, on all the socials. It looks like, this recent single that you had, Danny Loves a Fight, was definitely not, it was what you're talking about, a little bit more intense, a little bit more punk rock. Tell us about that one. Is that kind of a teaser at maybe what we're going to be seeing in this next record?
Not much. I just, I haven't been like I said, I haven't been too connected with the reggae thing. So with the reggae community, as far as tours with the fans, yeah. I mean, I've did the Long Beach Dub All-Star tour like I said, I kind of been floating around. And when I know I had the opportunity to meet and work with Pete Steinkoff from the Bouncing Souls, I wanted to, say, hey, well, let's try. I feel like I'm capable of releasing and working on any genre of music. And I think, as you get older, you're like, well, how long can I do a punk song, that's raging, and be able to perform it live? In 10 years, I probably won't be able to rock it like I can now. But, just to be quite honest, you're just like, well, shit, I guess it's time for some punk rock. Let's do it. I got the right producer. Let's try out a couple songs that have, Flogging Molly, Social Distortion thing. Mm-hmm. And I also was reflecting on just the time being back in PA. I started off in these like Hibernian clubs, in these Irish bars. Philly is full of Irish bars, and the outskirts are too. And that's where I played a lot. And they were always like, they wanted me to play Danny Boy, and they wanted me to play, Irish songs. And it's just funny because I'm Italian, so it kind of cracked me up. But, and reflecting on that, I'm like, I wanted to give a little nod to my friends and the people who, let you play in their bar for 3 hours for $100 when you're 20, 21, 22, mm-hmm. knowing you weren't that good, but you needed the work, and maybe you played a couple covers that they enjoyed and things like that. So that's how that all turned out. What I've been doing lately is just, I guess, hedging my bets as far as, let's see what kind of genres I could really push. Let's take some risks on the next record and now make it a reggae record, and have something that I could show people in this industry as I get older that I am capable of doing, in case I could get other opportunities, rather than just because I, personally haven't felt like I've gotten too much luck in the American reggae, like getting on tours and getting on festivals. I haven't had too much luck doing that. So you got to work with what, works for you and the connections that you make. And I love so many genres. So I said, the hell with it. Let's make this record all over the place, in case, just to see if I can, I'm starting to work with songwriters. So let's write some singer-songwriter songs just because I like it,
Yeah. There's always a constantly evolving thing with, especially you, Mike. You're always evolving, yet always staying true to who you are, which is Mike Pinto. And
thanks, man.
We really appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us. The first one of 2022 on the Surdown radio program here, live from home. MikePintomusic.com, at Mike Pinto, Mike Pinto's Little District, all that good stuff. One last question for you, man. I know we're going to go back to reggae for just a moment here. Everybody gets it. What does reggae mean to you?
Oh, reggae. Reggae music, obviously with its roots in Jamaica. You talked about finding silver linings, and those were some people that were in downtrodden times that spoke, tried to raise the vibration of their people around them and their lives through music. I think, maybe that I didn't even realize that by saying it, but the living in Trenchtown, was not paradise, even though you're talking about Jamaica. So I think in writing uplifting songs with the energy of with that human emotion is what I think reggae music is. I think there's other parts of it that have to do, that relate to the culture of Jamaica. But I think at its essence that it is writing about, try to keep positive vibration within negative times. So I guess, even speaking that out loud kind of makes me rethink about, maybe I didn't even know the definition of it. You know what I mean? It is it is interesting in that fact that we should be positive in these negative times, and try to spread that and raise the consciousness and raise the vibration, like they always say, in the people around us. And I know, I see there's that is what I do believe that reggae music is. And then there's like the Philly guy in me, the Philly guy in me that can't shake out the keeping it entirely real, even if it means too real.
Yeah.
So maybe that's my struggle that I need to that I'm working with here, is to try to have those, I always find that maybe trying to have, I keep saying, oh, I'm going to do this like keeping it too real record, and then I'll have this wonderful Jamaican, closer to Jamaican style reggae thing next, but it doesn't work out for me. Like, if you know my last record, Hotel Rendezvous, it's I'm trying to push almost that a little bit of the dirty reggae that like someone like the Agrolites would do into Jamaican reggae plus, but then by the end of the record it gets to like singer-songwriter folk, different emotions, and I kept saying, man, why can't I separate this stuff? But I guess that's just who I am, is, I love reggae music. I've actually dug deeper into reggae, with losing like Lee Scratch Perry and just loving Gregory Isaacs and Peter Tosh, and obviously Marley and the whole family. And I know there was a bunch of other, I know we lost a couple bass players. I can't think off the top of my head who we lost.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
A heavy year for the the guardians of reggae music. Scratch
was just that one blew me away. I thought it was a joke, because he's played jokes like that, not quite like that before, but I mean, it was just we had no idea what was going on. We were going, it was a Sunday morning, and I get into the show. I don't have, I think we maybe had one scratch track set up for the show. I didn't even know, like what would happen. And I had a listener call in and go, I don't know if you've heard, but the legend has passed. And I was like, oh my God,
that's heavy,
man. I mean, I met him one time in Asheville, and it was pretty special thing to be able to see him before he passed. Mike, we are out of time, man. It has been an absolute blast. Please make sure everybody checks out MikePintoMusic.com. He's got all kinds of new stuff, including a tour coming in here in 2022 at Mike Pinto Music. Mike Pinto's Little District is the group, that big old fan group. Mike loves his fans, his family, we like to call it. And hey, Mike, make sure you keep telling your version of life's story. All right. We love you.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me. And look out for a record sometime this summer is my plan. So
sounds like a plan. We'll see you in the future, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Peace and love.